complaining about it, nobody's gonna listen
Hmm.
because you should have done your research.
Exactly.
Um, but other than that, I really like the story just because of the fact that it has um, it has ever I don't know it just it's something nice to me. I think it's something that's super cool, and it has kind of like that, oh, this is cool, and like I said, it's makes the kids happy, and that's kind of what's all important. So, well, you know what else is really important?
Hmm.
Movie Madness Monday.
Movie Madness Monday.
Movie Madness Monday.
Yes, it is time for Movie Madness Monday. We're actually kind of a little bit ahead of time on today's show, which is kind of cool. I always like being ahead rather than behind. Um, so Movie Madness Monday. I was actually researching and for this, and I was just kind of scrolling through Facebook because a lot of the movie news that I get comes from Facebook. And there was a video I found of Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs.
Oh yeah, the
Okay,
the Eagle Scout.
yeah, yeah. So he is on a new show.
Really?
It's on Facebook,
Huh.
and it is called Returning the Favor.
Ooh.
They're on season one. They're on like their fifth episode,
Mhm.
and the thing behind it is really cool. So you know how a lot of shows you've got like, everybody behind the scenes stays behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They shoot everything, they edit it together. This is taken from like five different angles,
Oh wow.
and so you see the producer, you see the camera guy, you see So
Mhm.
there's like a camera guy who's shooting Mike, who's shooting or
Yes.
Mike will be talking from this camera to this camera to this camera. So it kind of shows a little bit from behind the scenes and how they're doing some of the stuff.
Huh.
But it's also it that's the show, but it's called Returning the Favor, and here's what it is. It is a show where him and his crew go around to different states and different places, different towns and whatever, and where they've heard of people who do things and they need and they feel like they need to return the favor. And what I mean by that is so the first episode that I saw, I think it's like the newest episode, is about a girl or a lady who is a cancer survivor, and she
Wow.
owns her own salon,
Mhm.
and going through the whole cancer thing and the chemo thing. One of the things that she knew that she was going to lose her hair, but one of the things that surprised her, she lost her hair on her eyebrows. And so she's like, a lot of people they lose themselves because you can tell a lot by a person about their eyebrows. So and she had nobody to help her, figure out how to tie because how some of them put like a I don't want to call it a bandana. It's like a ribbon almost, or like a anyway, put those on your head to kind of cover it up when you're going to and from chemo and things like that,
Yeah.
or put wigs. And so she owns a salon, so she has a room in the back um, that is dedicated to people who are fighting cancer and going through chemo and have lost their hair.
Mhm.
And she'll put makeup on them, and she'll draw their eyebrows back on and put a wig on and make them look and show them how to, like I said, tie on
Mhm.
those bandanas and all that. So it's a very, very, very special place for her because she's a survivor and she's had to go through all this, and so she helps them and lets them know, like, there was, and she said this, she said there was a time when I thought, I thought about stop fighting, and she said, I didn't, and I'm okay, and she said it was the thought of my family. So it's, it's that's a very special place for her. Well,
Yeah.
Mike and his crew heard about this, and they went out, and they told her they were there just to interview her for something else. They gave some excuse,
Mhm.
and because like Mike Rowe says, they're a bunch of liars. They are good at lying. Um, so they lied to her, and they saw her little room, and they talked to her, and they actually got a shot of her talking to one of the people that's fighting,
Mhm.
and so then it's like, excuse me, they thought that um, so then they got her out for the day, and they completely redid that room. So everything that was
Wow.
in there is still in there, but they reorganized it a little bit. They put a sink in there, um, because it was just kind of thrown together. Like one of the guys said, he's like, it kind of looks like a clown car because there's so much in there in so little space. So they didn't really they kind of expanded it a little bit, but they put in things to make it look better and still stores everything the same. And they repainted it, and so that was cool. And they took her in and did the reveal, and she was super happy. Well, they didn't stop there. They did. She was in enormous amounts of debt from when she was sick.
Yeah.
And so one of the producer called his boss to see if the production company would pay her debts, and they did that as well.
Oh my god.
And then they brought everybody that she had helped from the first time that she started doing this in to say thank you, and they took a picture. And so, but this is what the show is about.
Yeah.
Is doing things like that. I mean, there was another episode, and I kind of started, and I was working my way backwards because I started with the newest episode, and I worked my way back to season 1. I'm on like episode 2, and I'm super tired. It was late last night. I'm like, I need to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sleep is key.
yes, sleep is key. I think you're learning that too, aren't you?
Oh yeah, big time.
So it is one of those things where they actually had another episode of a guy. He's an old war vet, and he has a son that has, I think it's Down syndrome, and there is and I didn't even know about this. There is a Special Olympic a Special Olympic like hockey league.
Oh, like a team. Yeah.
Yes, it's like a hockey team.
Oh, we have that. It's called United Sports or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have like these sleds that they sit on that is like an ice skate.
Ooh.
And there's like a spot where they strap themselves in, and Mike Rowe tried it and couldn't even stay up, because I think it's like one skate, so your balance is really key.
Oh wow.
But then you've got these 2 sticks, and I think they're 2 hockey sticks, and that's how you kind of move around, is you just kind of push yourself with these sticks around the ice. And the way these kids can maneuver was really cool. But they went in and they did a whole bunch of stuff for that guy, because that is all done by fundraising, and he's not getting paid a cent. He fundraises every minute of it, And so they did a whole bunch of really cool stuff for him. So I urge you, down in the description below there is a link, and it is it's on Facebook. It's just called Returning the Favor. You can even search it on Facebook, or search Mike Rowe's name and it'll pop up. If you wait a minute, you'll see his Facebook page, and right below that it'll pop up with it'll have the Old Dirty Jobs Facebook page, and then it'll have his it'll have the Returning the Favor Facebook page.
Yeah.
So you can go on there, and you can all 5 episodes are on there.
And I think the really cool thing about this is that it's on social media, which I think is
Yes.
awesome, and there needs to be more of that, because social media, the accessibility with that. I mean, you just found this program, on Facebook. It's not on, Netflix. It's not on TV where you have to pay for that. It's on social media, and as it goes on, and you see this amazing act of kindness. At first, when you were describing it to me, I thought it was like what was that one show called? They like tore down the old house and put in a new one.
Oh, Extreme Makeover Home Edition?
Yes, and that's what I thought it was. So like they bring her in, then they move a bus. That's what I thought you were about to say, and I'm like, oh, this sounds familiar. But
Bus driver,
Yeah.
move that bus. No. And that was a great show too. That was
yeah,
one,
definitely.
and I think that one kind of outlived its its time, because they'd done it for so many people.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell a different story each time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely was a great thing, but by I don't even know how many seasons it went, but let's just say it went 7 seasons. By the 7th season, it got the same thing. They tore down the house and then they rebuilt it and sent them to Disney World. Like that was kind of the plot line of the whole story. But I think what is also really nice, because you're describing the show to us, and you said Mike Rowe and his crew, because it shows his crew, which I think is really cool, because it's interesting to see the other side, even if you're just seeing a camera guy, the other side of a production. And when you get to see that, maybe that's going to pique some interest in kids like, oh, that looks really cool. I'd love to be a producer. I'd love to be a cameraman.
By the way, it went from 2003 to 2012.
Wow.
So I think it had about 9 or 10 seasons.
Dang. I mean, it was an awesome show. Definitely Extreme Home Makeover.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition.
Okay, there we go.
So it's part of this. They've got it's almost like a series, because they've got Extreme Makeover, and then there's Home Edition. There's like personal fit. Like there's one that's out now, that is like a personal fitness one.
Oh.
Or it's Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition, and it's this guy. It's this trainer, and he people send in their names, and he does this program with them. and that's kind of it's just kind of the same thing every time,
Mhm.
but each one is a different it's still a different
Story.
story, because he'll pick somebody, and they'll have this goal, and he'll start off with you know taking him to a gym at home, or no, he'll bring him into a facility,
Mhm.
and then they'll work really hard, and then at the end of that they'll go home, and he'll go home with them
Mhm.
and help him get a workout routine there, and then he'll leave and they'll report back on like cameras and stuff,
Wow.
and then that's sometimes when people will fall back and kind of fall off and whatnot,
Mhm.
and then he'll do weigh-ons periodically and do different trips.
Hmm.
Like he'll fly him out to this part and this
Mhm.
part and this part, and it's like, okay, if you make this goal, you get to do this.
Yeah.
So if by yourself, if you make the weigh-in at this point, like there was one time they got to go biking through the mountains.
Oh.
And there was one time a guy didn't hit his goal, and he still let him go biking, but he said this is probably going to be really hard for you. And the guy made it. He was determined to do all this stuff. So it was super cool. So it's kind of like they've got all these different shows where it's extreme makeover, and then it's whatever edition it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that ended in 2012,
Wow.
and it looks like it had 9 seasons.
That's a good show. I always watched it as a kid. ABC.
Well, I think it's on in reruns.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, Ty Pennington and actually he started off in just a makeover show. That wasn't that one. It was like House Swap or whatever. Have you ever seen that, where they a
Mhm.
couple will go in, like some neighbors will go into someone else's house and they'll redo one of the rooms?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that was a thing. He was the tool guy on that show, and he would make some of the stuff.
Wow.
And then he became the host, and he's hosted some other stuff since then. But
I absolutely love that. This is kind of Mike Rowe doing this kindness thing, and he is an Eagle Scout, and he was at our jamboree. What was that? Back in 2010 and 2013. But
Right.
in 2010 he gave a speech, and all that, and truly he's embodying the Scout Oath and Scout Law. He's living it. A Scout is kind. That's one of the things we say in the law, and he's definitely doing that with his work today on this huge scale. And I love to see him a part of these awesome different projects. And I think the one thing,
he was at the National Jamboree in 2013.
in 13.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think overall he's doing a great job, with his effect on society, with his influence. And I think we all want to do that, but at the same time, like, there are some people who are doing it, and there's some that are, getting millions of views on, Snapchat for the Kardashians getting in a car crash.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those where we really need to know who the real heroes are, and I'm sorry to inform everyone, it's not the Kardashians.
No, it's not.
They've done nothing for society except for
OJ.
well, that wasn't even them. That was their dad.
Yeah. Well, that's true. It wasn't even the kids.
They're not even, they have done nothing good for their community. Nothing.
Yeah.
They've just made money for themselves. That's pretty much it.
It's primarily what they've done. Hopefully they've done something at least, but I haven't heard of anything. But also at the same time, everything gets reported on their lives. I just saw that on somebody else's phone. I usually don't check on the Snapchat news stories.
Right.
They have like celebrity ones and like so and so's dating X and Y, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
don't
wow.
care.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. I care about real world news, and I think if they had like an awesome podcast channel like this one on
Right.
there.
It is awesome.
There we
Thank you.
go. Yeah,
S-
it'd be set.
So I was just looking around about his Eagle Scout, and actually, it's funny because on Mike Rowe's personal website, there is actually a thing that says Mike's Eagle Scout letter.
Ooh, is it like the letter of ambition? Is that what it is?
I don't know. It says dear and whatever the name is, back in 19. Yeah, it's a letter from him.
Oh wow. Huh. So it's
It
from
says
him.
it says back in 1977, I got a letter from the President of the United States congratulating me on becoming an Eagle Scout. The letter was printed on thick, creamy paper. My name was typed at the top, and Gerald Ford's signature at the bottom. right next to the president's seal. Very